We are in that kind of new politics in the world. You need a dominant leadership, a dominant idea, and the way to communicate that idea down the line. What 1980s was to China, 2020s should be for India. What New York Times writes about us impacts the investor. We have to build this confidence about the future of India's economic strength. Economy, and economy. Focus on that for 10 years. If we can't build economic consensus, we will face problems. If I were to expect anything from all of you, we have to tell that story. We have to do such seminars or such meetings where the story is told in a very positive way. But we can miss this bus also. And we are very capable of, we are very romantic people. You won't get another Narendra Modi, na?
So one question about the election, please, because last time in 2019 when the election was being planned, a lot of euphoria and a lot of effort from a lot of people, energy. This time we don't see that much. Is it complacency?
You think it's good or bad? It's good. I mean, life is peaceful. Not too many rallies, too much of political, this thing. I would say, you see, generally what happens is political activities. I handled close to 15 elections in the last, say, about 8 to 10 years. Political activity becomes exciting only when you have a strong opposition also. Sadly, in large parts of the country, that is no longer the case. Opposition parties are there, they may still be strong on the ground, but whether they would be in a position to engage in, high voltage electioneering and all, I doubt. So, except probably Kerala, because Kerala is a state where cadres play a very important role in electioneering for all parties, like especially for CPM and BJP. So in Kerala, if you see today, there is some visible activity going on. Some, Janda Leke Julus Nikalna, some hoarding, some mics blaring out slogans and all that's happening. But otherwise, yes. So one reason is this. There is no strong motivation from the opposition side also. But also generally there is this feeling that this election, I was there at the Columbia 2 weeks ago. So one student asked me, what's your projection for Indian elections? I said, first of all, there's no excitement in Indian election. But all the excitement is there about your election, the American election. Because there, at least there is still a competition going on. There is some suspense who will win, who will lose. But India, though, it's almost a foregone thing. I think that's also one of the reasons. But I take your point. Is it going to be a sort of a complacency leading to something bad? Confidence, I would say, yes. There is a lot of confidence. Obviously, should not become overconfident. People should work hard on the ground. Not to be quoted, I am just sharing it with you. Generally, what happens is BJP always engages in high-profile public activity, but quietly the RSS and Parivar cadre does the work very quietly. This time round, it's happening much more quietly. So small meetings like that, it's happening. So it's not so very visible. But the complacency part is generally taken care of. You should not be overconfident and complacent. Do it, but quietly.
This we are seeing, especially in Karnataka, sir, because we are seeing a number of rallies, prime ministers attending in other states, especially Tamil Nadu and all. Whereas Karnataka, the first phase is on April 26th, and hardly, we have.
He must have come here, because their party's original plan was that PM should go to almost all the clusters. Cluster is 4 parliament seats, is one cluster. The country has been organized into 125 clusters. So PM was supposed to speak in as many clusters as possible. In each 4 constituencies, he should go at one place. I don't know how many he covered. No, but he has already done in some clusters. Karnataka also, he would have come already.
Davangere he started.
Davangere started. He will come probably. He will do a couple of. When he comes, he will do 2, 3 in one go. Yes, sir.
Sir, one is that we can see that complacency, it appears to be, but is it because of we are in the digital world and communication is happening much faster than the earlier physical meetings and so on and all that. And it's happening more. Reaching the people is really happening and the communications through the digital videos and all happening. At the same time, distorted information also is reaching the people, which is much more scary. I do not know whether this is good for this election system or bad, because anybody can distort the statements and play it around and sensational, emotional things. Somebody can just say this is this. So that's the ugly part of the campaigning what's going on.
Oh, yes. I mean, social media, which is the most democratic media, is party neutral. Anybody and everybody has a chance to, put something out on the platform and then try to influence people. But even in that, opposition is a late starter. The BJP has developed its social media network much before the opposition actually started doing it now. But I take your point that sometimes we get a feeling that the opposition's campaign is attracting more eyeballs because of that negativity involved. No, it's easy to be an opposition. It's difficult to be a ruling party. Yeah, it becomes easy.
Because of
Yeah, you can put out memes and you can do many.
very sweeping statements.
But it's a global phenomena. Everywhere it happens.
Sir, this time, this candidate selection, one couple of things were quite surprises. One is Madhavi Lata from Hyderabad. So, how is that selection is made? Is something I was quite curious if there is anything.
The party has a mechanism, and even PMO has its own way of identifying people, good people, competent people who can really make an impact. Winning or not winning is secondary, but so they have their own mechanism. So party may come up with a list, but then Prime Minister himself has idea. He knows by now, he knew about the country so well that he also knows what factors work in which difficult area. Hyderabad was one such choice. I mean, very interesting choice. Even I come from Hyderabad. We never expected that something like that would be considered. Let's see what happens. It's an interesting choice.
Sir, the first bit, sir, two questions. I'll make it very short. First is your views on the lot of opposition people joining BJP. That's creating a lot of negativity. Still, some people with not so clean past coming and joining. What is the thinking behind that? It would be useful to know in a small group kind of thing. Second, no one's really thinking about the election, it's post-election. The major reforms that you think that would come in the context that I don't think anyone in this room doubts that GDP will grow. We will reach those targets, that we know that that is the track record of this government. How will the trickle down happen for bridging inequality? These are two things I want to discuss.
I think the second one is much more important. The first one is that very nature of politics, you must remember. When the other side, you see, globally, I wanted to talk about it in my evening talk also, but generally now we have entered the era of new politics. This new politics requires dominant leadership, dominant idea, and a mechanism to convey that idea to the grassroots. In all these three, the BJP is far ahead of other parties. That is where it is able to today convince large sections of the people that I am the idea, I am the leader, and I am the idea also. The idea of the future of India, that new India. So that is attracting a lot of people, and political parties cannot shut their doors on anybody wanting to come in. We can't have a character examination for people coming in, although it must be kept in mind that if people with very bad reputation are coming in, that will have an impact on the image of the party in the long run. That I'm sure BJP keeps in mind. But to shut doors on people coming into any party, especially a party which is seen as the future of the country, will be very difficult. How do we stop anybody from coming in? But the second part of it is much more important. If you have read the Chinese growth trajectory, what 1980s was to China, 2020s should be for India. Single-minded focus on economic development. Now, this 5 trillion is achievable probably. Not easy, although we are still struggling to cross 4 trillion. We have to add 1 more trillion. We are hoping that in next 2 to 3 years, we will be able to add that 1 trillion. That is essentially because of the sentiment. You know, you are all in CFOs and all, you understand how important the sentiment is for getting the investments. Sentiment should be right. Fortunately, that sentiment is that tomorrow Elon Musk will come and meet with Prime Minister and give a good statement. Then that adds up to that sentiment. That sentiment will take us probably to that 5 trillion mark. But with 5 trillion also, we will not be a developed country. We have to hit at least 10 to 12 trillion in next 10 years. So government single-minded focus or priority will be this. So now that those major agenda items are all achieved, Kashmir is achieved, Ram Janmabhoomi has been done, now we have to focus on this. In that, again, it's a very important aspect. You have another 4 Ambanis and Adanis, probably you will reach 6 trillion. But that should not be the case. Then what will happen is, like how it happens from time to time in America. America has created a 10% oligarchs. Extremely rich people. They will keep that $20 trillion economy, that size they will keep. But one recession, the whole economy comes tumbling down. But it doesn't happen in China. The reason is, China built its economic prosperity based on a strong middle class. That's where this trickle down you said. I mean, we have to ensure that it happens, this prosperity happens at the grassroots. It's a bottom-up kind of prosperity we have to build. That's why Prime Minister is very keen on issues like startups, innovation, and, yes. I mean, for example, this game, the potential. India can easily get to $40 billion gaming industry. Today we are $2 billion. We are just $2 billion industry today. It has huge potential. So those things can create prosperity at the mid-level or even at the bottom level. That is the way we should go. I think next 10 years, Prime Minister's focus will be that. The challenges you all know, how regulatory mechanisms, the challenges but still that will be the issue.
How can we be involved in, like, when you look at what we mentioned, how do we work with the government on ease of doing business? Because there is a lot of things that we say are little but in reality, on the ground, it is very difficult for people to come down. This is the one which actually works on compliance with the government policies, taxation. How do we create a working environment where the government consults us rather than talking to the chambers where they hardly have any stake in the compliance? 2 is, you spoke about having the need to setting the right kind of positive governance. Now, how can each of us be ambassadors within our own organization of the parent entities with stakeholders that we speak? That we can build this. Third one, with respect to India Foundation staff, how can we make this group work and where can we take this entire discussion on the $1 trillion economy act level where we're talking about the trickle-down effect and not at the macro level, were controlling. So that was the key question that I had.
Oh, see,
Sorry.
combined, I will just take it as one. It's all integrated. You see, essentially, the sentiment aspect is very important that we expect from all of you, lot of support. Because, negativity kills. Today, what is happening is when Ambani hosts his son's marriage, all the billionaires, trillionaires from all over the world, they come in special flights to Bombay, attend, but they do not bring that suitcase. Meaning, they're coming, they see India as a potential destination, they see building friendship with Ambani, Adani, Prime Minister Modi as important, but actually investing, bringing that money is not happening. That is where we have to create that confidence level in them. I go to different countries, you also will be going. So there is some amount of hesitation because of what New York Times writes about us, impacts the investor. What, luckily Economist, Time did fairly good cover stories that create a good feeling that maybe we should explore. That's why I said one alarmist coming, giving a statement, will enhance the confidence of these investors. As a community, all of you and many of your friends and all, we have to build this confidence about the future of India's economic strength. That it is a potential economy, that confidence has to be created. Why I'm saying this is, two fellows, Nixon and Kissinger, if you have to credit or blame anybody for China's rise, blame these two people or credit these two people. What they did was, they broke that iron curtain, connected with that country, went back, told glorious stories about it to the corporate America, and the entire corporate America made a beeline to China. China's prosperity is because of the propaganda of one fellow called Kissinger. I personally hate him, but that's a different story. One may love him, think that he is a very shrewd fellow. And they created all the wealth. I was there at a security dialogue in Canada. The Democrat leader was sitting next to me. He was criticizing China. Asked a simple question, but who created China? You created it. The whole prosperity of China is because of American companies. Please read that history, 70s, 80s, 90s. Thousands of American countries went and created that prosperity there. Now, they could do that there because a positive sentiment created by Deng Xiaoping in China, but also a positive sentiment created by Nixon and Kissinger. We need that Nixon and Kissinger in America. But we need our own people telling the very optimistic story about India. That is where the whole game is. If I were to expect anything from all of you, we have to tell that story. We have to do such seminars or such meetings where the story is told in a very positive way. There are enough fellows sitting, Raghuram Rajan will tell a very negative story there. But who will counter it? That part is very important. Once we do that, we all will be benefited. Today, the capital is sitting idle because where to go, they don't know. So they are going to countries like Vietnam, they are going to even Philippines. We only got 6% of that exiting China trade. What is it called? Second plus one policy. We only got benefited only by 6%. Why not it be 20%? So that is where the struggle is. This quarter, our FDI inflow has come down to 30 billion. At the peak, it was only at 75 billion. I will tell you one very interesting story. Many of you must be dealing with Japan. So much goodwill between our two countries, but bilateral trade is only less than $10 billion. And the bilateral trade between China and Japan, $270 billion. They both are enemies, hate each other, but trade is $270 billion. How is it possible? Somebody is selling this story, na? We have to sell our story effectively. So in that, yes, we are always ready. If we can work together, sell this story. There are many who want to know this story. Many who want to have that confidence. But we have to build that story.
basically Adani's news person తెలుసు Chintan Foundation.
Yes.
Tank.
Yes.
So that's when we also feel that can we work with India Foundation where we can lead the economic trade.
Yeah, see, in 2014, just before becoming the Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi as Chief Minister, but as the lead campaigner from the party for the Prime Minister post, addressed one economic summit in Delhi, which was hosted by us. Mr. Jaitley was there, Arun Jaitley was also there. We hosted it. The speech that he gave was so impactful that people thought that here is a leader whose USP is not just some religious issues or some, Hindu-Muslim. No, it's a very futuristic, very pro-economy, very pro-market kind of leader we are getting. How much politically it would have impacted is a different story. I mean, we had some 350 CEOs, Indian and foreign CEOs based out of Delhi. They were all there. But they carried a goodwill about him back to their company. No, this guy we can work with. I don't claim that was the reason why all of them started that beeline to meet him. But generally, right from the beginning, he tried to create that goodwill about his intentions. So we have to do similar things. We could not do that later, subsequently. We also got entangled in other things. Yeah, we can do some such things. But you all have confidence about it or not, Indian economy and its future.
But we have to fix it. Why is Prime Minister saying last 10 years was a trailer? He said last 10 years performance was a trailer. What is in the
No, as I said, we needed to set so many things right in our country. And even today, none of us can claim that everything is hunky-dory here. So much of regulatory nonsense still happens today also. I can tell you on record, but this has to be cleaned up later.
Absolutely.
We did a conference.
Clean up policy data. Of course.
We had to submit our audited statement to one department in the government. They wanted it in printed paper, 1,000 pages of printed paper we sent. I asked the Honorable Minister, it's okay, it's already there, we are only printing it and giving. Number one, you said it's e-governance. Still you want 1,000 pages of printed paper. Where do you keep it? If one group has to give you 1,000 pages of printed paper, what about this country? How do you handle it? Because the guy sitting there won't change. He's not comfortable with technology. Prime Minister is pushing for technology, but down the line system has to change. That's why sometimes India is identified with an elephant. Elephants don't do about turn. Elephants ko ghumana hai na, they will take their own time to turn around. That is the problem with our bureaucracy. The speed with which Prime Minister wants to turn things around, down the line system doesn't really fully catch up. But in the last 10 years, he tried to set these things right, largely trying to remove corruption at the top. Down the line, you probably still face it, but at the top, largely it has been removed. Laws have been relaxed. I mean, 1,600 archaic laws have been removed, 1,600. Most of them for helping ease of doing business, improving ease of doing business rankings. The so-called black money component has been brought to a bare minimum. So many such reforms were needed to set things right, first of all. So it took some time. Now it's geared up. Now if you talk to higher bureaucracy in Delhi, they are all geared up. They are ready. They are actually hungry for executing these things. They are very enthusiastic. Our ambassadors all over the world, when we see them, they are fired with so much zeal today. So that's what Prime Minister said. I needed time to set things right. Now that has happened. One very good advantage for India is that we have, for any country to grow, 2-3 things are required. One, there should be stability, there should be consistency, and there should be progress. These 3 things are very important for any country to grow. You need to have a stability politically. We have a stable political thing. Now, since political stability is there, you can expect consistency. थोड़ा बहुत होता है because India is a very independent judiciary. कभी judiciary can play some role, but otherwise there is generally a consistent policy now. Policy consistency will be there. Then very futuristic, focused on progressive, an unfoldment. So this is the right time for India. But we can miss this bus also. We are very capable of, we are very romantic people. We suddenly get into some romantic ideas and then lose this opportunity. Lose it. You won't get another Narendra Modi, na? There is only one Narendra Modi. So when he is around, we should achieve it.
So, internally, the BJP views like what would the party sees top two challenges from a growth standpoint. I mean, I know you said sentiment, that is one thing, but internally, what is the view that how does the party view the top two challenges which they feel or the party feels that it needs to fix from a growth standpoint?
So, most important is that we have to build a consensus over at least economic policies in the entire country. India is not constitutionally, but in practice, a federal country. And our states are very strong and very powerful. I mean, a state like Uttar Pradesh, if it were to be put in the list of countries, it will be the 20th or 17th largest country in the world. So big. So, Karnataka is big. Telangana, these are all big states. So, whether it is ruled by opposition or ruling party, on political issues we fight. But can we build that kind of synergy when it comes to this economic activity is a very important thing. If it is disrupted for any reason, nowadays some of these South Indian states started raising this issue of how much we are contributing, how much we are getting. But this is a very irrational argument, very dangerous argument. There is no logic to it. If today you say that, in your state, if districts start raising that issue, what will you do? In a district, if tertiary state start raising that issue, how will you do? When you, take a family, when you earn some money, you won't distribute it equally to all in the family. Those who need more, somebody needs a car, you give him a car. Somebody can manage with a motorcycle, he will use a motorcycle. You won't say that, no, because I am giving car to so-and-so, one son, everybody should have a car. It doesn't work that way. But, such arguments are being made that will disrupt the system, economic balance, economic, one chief minister said that they will exit GST. But how can you exit GST? Is GST a Prime Minister Modi's program? It's country's economic program. So that is where my fear is. So if we do such things, if we can't build economic consensus, we will face problems. So otherwise, things are looking very bright. When Prime Minister talks about 400, he's not doing it just for any record. Okay, if BJP crosses 400, it will be a record. The only party that could get 404 seats was Congress in 1984. So BJP naturally would want to, break that record. But it's not just for that sake. For policies consistency, you need strong, unified voice. This 400 will be NDA partners also. Together, they will build a national consensus. By the way, you know the meaning of consensus, I'm sure. Consensus is not unanimity. Consensus is larger unity of the views. You should be able to build at least 70%, 80% unity. That is called consensus. We should be able to build that consensus. That's very important.
What are the top three visionary things that the Modi government is planning to do? Like Mission Karma Yogi is in that space, right? Where we're talking about upscaling. To that extent of labor force in the government is very unique, very differentiated, can really change the narrative of government and the services that the government provides to the citizens. So anything like that. And what should,
on a lighter note, I know a little bit about Prime Minister. It's not 3, it's always 30. So you can't limit him to 2 or 3 ideas. He is a man of ideas. He keeps thinking about what more can be done. But if you want 3, I will say economy, economy, and economy. Focus on that for 10 years. Whatever is to be done. I said gaming industry. That gaming industry has so much potential. We knew about it because about a year back, we had to intervene on a very important policy matter with respect to this gaming industry. For example, it's so funny how, our bureaucratic system works. In gaming industry, 3 people are playing the game, right? There is an X amount is involved. Guy from India bids $200. US fellow bids $250. Somebody bids $300. This total is, say, about $750. I'm running the game. 10% is my income. That is $75 I get, right? Government should tax me for $75. Government came out, one bureaucrat came out with a policy. No, not 75, we will tax $750. How can you do it? How is it logical? Means he is investing his money sitting in America, and whatever profit he is getting, he is anyway paying taxes there. Your guy who is playing here, he is investing his money, he is showing his income, he is paying you taxes. How can the gaming company pay? But that was the law. Why? Because that particular officer thought this gaming is a bad thing, we should discourage it. So how to discourage it? Kill the industry. Maybe gaming, one may think that gaming is like gambling. But can you stop it? People are playing it. So there we need to intervene and tell concerned people that, see, this is too illogical. If you want to regulate it in a different way. You don't give licenses too liberally. Maybe that is possible. But those people working, you can't tax him. I mean, they have to now pay you the tax more than their profit. So such things indicate that system still is struggling with how to go about these things. For example, today, US, China are working on how to handle the UFO menace. We may laugh at it, but they are already thinking about how to handle UFOs. How to regulate outer space. They are thinking about it already. They are coming up with ideas, coming up with laws and all. Outer space, that is cyber, beyond cyber also. There is already a rat race for going to the Mars. When you go to Mars, how do you regulate it? We are not able to come out with a drone law still. The debate is whether drones should be allowed to fly at 4,000 feet or 5,000 feet or 10,000 feet. We are not able to decide that. How can you compete? They are talking about outer space. Here, we are not able to decide how high our drones should fly. This is where our policy problem is actually killing us. That's a drone industry, a lot of prospects, but not growing. So many things. So in these things, we have to, of course, do a lot of things at the government level. I'm sure Prime Minister will give a lot of priority to all these things. But again, narrative has to also be changed.
So what is the untold story? What's the untold story that people have not probably still not understood if we get 400 and above as a number?
So camera is not on.
No, but anyway, that fear also should not be created in the country, because I know some of the BJP people are now talking that, we need 400 because we have to dump this constitution. No, it's not for that purpose at all. And those things will create fear in the minds of some people. Why it is required is, in any case, when it is the 400 plus is talked about, it also includes all the friendly parties, those who come and support the government. That may take it to 420, 450, 470, whatever is the number. But that kind of number will help in policy consistency. And when government takes these very proactive measures with respect to economy and all, it helps. I understand it only in that, from that point of view only, from that perspective only. There should not be any fear created about it. I know there was a story in Indian Express. This is going to be the brute majority for Modi. There is no brute majority. And in any case, Indian people are very vigilant. So, good majority helps take these things forward. As I said, we are in that kind of new politics in the world. You need a dominant leadership, a dominant idea, and the way to communicate that idea down the line. That dominant mechanism to communicate that idea. All this will help in that.
So, 14 and 24, from economic perspective, how would you distinguish these 3 blocks of 5 years?
Oh, as I said, first 5 years was essentially to set things right, correct those anomalies in our system, whether it was with respect to black money, the demonetization was a big measure. One can debate over its negatives and positives. These can be debated, but no policy can have everything positive only happening. There will be some amount of risk also involved. So first 5 years, I think, were more about correcting the anomalies. Last 5 years, the effort has been, first of all, to address certain pending issues, whether it is Kashmir or other things, so that once they are behind you, you can now only look forward, then gear up your system for that, prepare your system for that. For that purpose, Competition Commission was created. Institutions were created within the government to train the government to prepare for this long haul. Why Prime Minister said that in India Today conclave, that you are looking at 29, I am looking at 47. Because he was preparing the system for 47. Because as I said, how China transformed from a very poor, backward country under Mao to by Jiang Zemin's time, it was already a developed country, although they don't call themselves developed even today. They call developing, because if you are a developing country, you get certain concessions under WTO. That's the only reason. Otherwise, they are already a developed country. But that 20 years, it's a fascinating story. I'm sorry, I'm praising China, not to praise China, but it's a reality. It's a story. I tell you, no ideology. Deng Xiaoping decided to give contracts for building airports to American companies. There was a big discussion in Communist Party. They said, we are Communist Party. How can you bring a capitalist country to build airports in our country? Deng Xiaoping's famous statement, which probably some of you might have heard, was that I don't care about the color of the cat as long as it's catching the mice. I just don't care. And then people ask him, then if they come, they will capture your market. He says, let them come. Create prosperity here. If I don't want them, I will kick them out. They have to go, but they cannot take the airport with them. That is with me. No, this is the utter pragmatic approach. So that kind of approach, a focused approach, इंडिया में तो हर चीज पे अपोजिशन हल्ला शुरू कर देता है. As one of you said, use social media, create all sorts of falsehoods. Dictatorships like China have an advantage in that. We are not a dictatorship, we are a democracy. We respect all the viewpoints. But we need to single-mindedly focus on that. Economy, economy, economy.
One of the most influential people in the BJP and RSS in a very long time. The contributions you have done is very amazing. But of late, we don't see you as a very picture coming up. Is there any particular reason?
Everybody has his role to play. I did my job when I was there as General Secretary for 6.5 years or whatever period I was there. I continue to be in Sangha. For last 3 years I have been in Sangha. That's how Sangha operates. Whatever assignment you get, you work. That's it. No other reason. That's how Sangh operates. By the way, the first thing is your own personal view. Whether I had influence or not, that's your goodwill for me, that's all. But I was just working that.
Shikhar was asking, sir, actually,
here, though pretty industrious, has been a good contributor. Forget the conflict between what political parties are saying. There has been a sense in the last 10 years that the largest is not really coming towards South India. Possibly because of political status. We have been voting consistently for the Lok Sabha elections. Otherwise, we may not be in the local elections part. That is there something else that you would want to add on and say, look, South India would be given something significant in this? In most of the chambers we do talk about this in the industry side. So hence the question.
I see, if there is any genuine complaint about it, it should definitely be taken up with the center. You should talk to the center. But please remember, the GST Council, which is the main source of,
I'm not
prosperity.
talking about the contribution part at all. I'm saying key projects, if you look at it, significant number of key projects that have gone in the last so many years, let's say, have gone to probably one is Prime Minister loves his state, so we understand that.
No,
then other than
not only because of that. Gujarat has always been a very business-wise, very proactive state. When he was chief minister there, he did a lot of things there, so it attracts. Secondly, Gujarat has one very distinct advantage, which probably Karnataka doesn't have. For example, if you need 100,000 acres of land for setting up a kind of a project, where do you get it in Karnataka? You can't get such kind of. They have certain advantages because there's that Bhuj district, Kutch district has huge barren land which they are commercializing, exploiting commercially. Certain advantages are there. But you see Andhra Pradesh, look at 2014 to 2019. I mean, it was growing so well. And between 2019 and 2017 and 2022, how fast Telangana grew. They attracted a lot of investments. Even Boeing came there, Lockheed came there. So I don't think there is any deliberate, I know this World Economic Forum people tell me that one of the star, attractions from India at the World Economic Forum are people like K.T. Ramarao in Telangana. I mean, he is no longer there, but I'm saying, they used to tell us that these people come and they are able to attract big investments and all. So how can any government stop it? So no such discrimination. In any case, Karnataka was under BJP rule until a few years ago. BJP would not have done any discrimination against any state. If there are any genuine issues like, chambers and all have any genuine issues, they should be taken up, no doubt. But as far as GST is concerned, I just wanted to only underline that real fact that GST is actually a federal organization. Even government has no control over it. Nirmala Sitharaman cannot decide what can or cannot go to a state. Karnataka finance ministry is as much powerful. But if Karnataka or any other state doesn't do homework, it's difficult. But if it is any genuine case, you should take it up. If chambers and all get any such feeling.
So, in a different context, we're talking about in India, in the last about 5 years, we have seen provisions relating to special economic zone, the benefits, the core benefits, the sunset clause features. So there's a couple of fiscal incentives that was given to exporters. I do understand that all these three were rescued at the behest of compliance made before the WTO. So why isn't you are pushing our case before WTO when China, when you were talking about WTO context of China at that, when China can actually offer a 5% straight on subsidy to every one of its exporters. We had merchandisers exporters incentive scheme. We had services exports incentive schemes. Number 1, withdrawn. Number 2, withdrawn. We have the special economic zone scheme. Technically, it's not withdrawn, but the income tax benefits have already, reached the sunset clause. Is it a case that we are, as a government, it's not pushing India's case before the WTO? Because all the three issues which I'm talking about, where
I'm not very familiar with the details of these things. I'm not an economist. But yes, what China does, we cannot do because China blatantly violates WTO rules and very nonchalantly. Not just WTO, it simply violates all the international regulations, international laws uh, with impunity. You can't do anything about it. So, if it is doing these things, probably it is doing by violating WTO's norms and all, not definitely with WTO's concurrence, I suppose. But whether India is able to have its way there, I'm not really very knowledgeable about it. But if you can give me some information, I will pass on to right people.
I'll
By
definitely do it.
look at these things because we did a study about International Court of Justice (ICJ) and how is our performance there, and we found it wanting in a big way. So we can't blame Prime Minister Modi for that. I mean, the law ministry, the guy sitting there, the guy who is representing India, is he doing justice to his brief and all those things? So similarly, if you have any note, please give. We will forward it.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
So there are two big elephants in the room. In your last answer also, this is the administrative reform, the judicial reforms. For India to go to the next level, these are big areas. What are the thinking around that?
No, administrative reforms, lot of reforms have already been put in place. Only one area where probably not much success could be achieved was this lateral entry. Personally, I feel that we should allow it because we have entered the era of specializations. For example, why drone law is not taking shape is because in the civil aviation ministry, we don't have drone experts. Obviously, you can't have. There is a supervisor, there is a manager, there is a superintendent, there is a junior secretary, under secretary, A secretary. But none of them had any experience of this thing. Then you need to get it laterally. There is resistance. So some such reforms are needed, but largely, equipping the bureaucracy, administration, reforming it, that is an ongoing process. Judicial reform is a challenge. I agree. We have to do it in India. India is the only country where judges appoint judges. Only country. I mean, it's self-procreation. They keep adding people from their own womb. So every senior judge's son will become judge definitely, one day, if not today. They have a very interesting system. I'm not saying it in any bad sense, but that's the reality. So we need reforms. People say that no. If government interference happens, then judicial independence will go. Do you remember the name of Justice Krishna Iyer? One of the tallest judges of our Supreme Court in history, appointed by a political party when it was in power. There was no this collegium system before 1990s. So many great justices that system created. So to think that if government has any interference in it, then the judicial independence will be compromised is a very wrong idea. In any case, government doesn't mean to have only its nominees there. It wanted to have a collegium which involves representatives of the government and opposition also, besides judges. That reform is very important. Besides that, we have to also think about the workload in the courts. That I think this 5 years tenure, one of the pending agenda items will be probably that reform also. So maybe last 1 year.
So I have this. I'm out of it, thank you. Simple question. What is the party's views on the public sector, PSUs? Last 10 years, we have not seen anything big happening there, neither in efficiency nor in ROI. So what is likely to happen in the next term?
Sir, I think broadly what Prime Minister always said was minimum government. Government has to, generally the view of the party also has been that government has to get out of areas where it has no business to be there. And definitely governments have no business to do business. So public sector where its presence is essential, like Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, maybe government should be there because it deals with the sensitive sectors like, defense and all those things. In some such areas, government can continue, but even in those areas, we should allow free competition. That's why today we are allowing a Lockheed to come in. Do it. Let Boeing come, and this French Rafale will come soon. They are planning to come and start manufacturing. So we should create that level playing field for others, where essential it should remain, otherwise it should quit. Now, very interestingly, sir, the story now is government where it quit, lot of good happened, latest being Air India. They posted what, 70 crore profit now? 1 year? Just within 1 year they posted profit. By the way, earlier also when Ashwini Lohani was there as CMD, Air India posted similar profit, but that was operational profit. Debts, long history of debts and debt servicing converted into 600 crore loss. But actually company made profits. So there is a legacy issue, so it had to quit those things, and many things it had to shed its extra weight. I think that will be the policy. I don't think there will be any change in that. Successive manifestos have stated, I used to be involved in manifesto writing also until 2019 election. We used to openly say that the government should quit from some of these things.
We can take the remaining questions.
Chaliye, thank you. It's a pleasure.